Good evening, everyone. My name is Drinks Glue. Tonight we got some Ultros League Season 8 Week 3 action for you between Rastafari and Lord Genesis representing Tonic D. But allow me the pleasure of introducing our commentary team tonight. Joining me is Fury Blizzard and Joya. Joya, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing really great. Little tired, but excited to be able to watch the podcast of these two racers. Fiery, how are you doing?
I am also doing well. I am thinking that tomorrow is Friday and that the week is almost over, and also excited to see two Tonic racers go at it in this little podcast of ours.
You got any big plans this weekend?
Gotta figure out what the weather is going to be like. Mowing the lawn is certainly going to be one of them. We'll see what else I have to end up doing. Hopefully, not too much housework. But that is a problem for future me.
That is, right now, the only problem we have on our plate is figuring out what these runners are going to be doing.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. Our runners, Rastafari and Lord Genesis 1. We were talking beforehand. Lord Genesis 1 is currently in second place in Tonic D, and Rasta is currently in fourth place in Tonic D. Of course, we are only 2 weeks into the Ultros League season. This is a week 3 vodcast, so if you happen to be in Tonic D and have not run this race, please do not watch any further. But we are going to get started here. Looks like we have an Edgar, a Go-Go, and a Gao start.
Oh. All right, I
that...
always like an Edgar start.
Yeah, we do have a Blitz command on that Gao, so really nice to see, especially with a Go-Go. Now we have 2 Blitz users, and that can get online very quickly. But we do see our general normal starting here, at least from one of our racers in Lord Genesis, taking that Narsh path immediately, where Rasta is going immediately into returners to loot there. So a little bit of divergence early on.
Yeah. So I'm surprised that with Gal we're looking for dried meat. I'm surprised that Ross didn't go straight into Narsh looking for that, or just straight into Figaro Castle. Was that an egg? Did I just see an egg?
I believe you just saw an egg.
Wow. So many eggs. So many eggs this week. It's been incredible.
I can't tell if there was a cat hood in the armor shop. Watching a little bit on this board, it's a little bit difficult to see some of the words. The text looked like it was cat hood, but I couldn't really make it out. But yeah, EXP eggs, definitely one of the best relics in the game. When you have someone like Edgar who can swing the big sticks, you know, your Illumina, your Ragnarok, your ammo weapon, it is a really nice find. There's not really much of a question of who you want to put that on early on. You may be tempted to put it on Gao just because you have a Blitz user if you're looking to say, you know, get online that quickly because Aura Ball is good, and then, you know, if you want to use Bum Rush, you can get pretty much guaranteed with an egg to get all the way to Bum Rush in level 42. But yeah, to your point, I assume both of our racers are looking for dried meat to take on the Veldt check before they take any random encounters. That's always preferred because all you can get are Lobos, and you would rather fight Lobos than pretty much anything else on the Veldt. So I imagine that is what our racers are both finding. Lord Genesis going to Returners is also finding that EXP egg. And we also, I think, have 2 hero rings now.
Yes, and we also found our first Esper of Bismarck. Be curious to see what's on that. So let's talk about something while our runners are doing their looting path, and unless something comes up. I really like a Blitz Gao. Depending on what Gao gets, sometimes he's kind of a potato because he doesn't have a normal fight command. So Gao having that Blitz means that he's able to actually contribute to the offense from level 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Gao having Blitz as well, it's not dependent on what you're equipping, really. Gao, I find more often than not, just can't equip anything, and, you know, even if he could use Fight or Capture. So to not be bogged down by also needing to equip something, say if you had some other commands like, again, Capture, or straight rage with stray cat or something like that. You don't have to depend on finding a merit award or something to help with Gal.
Very true. And I think Gao naturally has higher vigor and magic power, doesn't he?
I believe so. One of the higher ones in the game for sure.
Yeah, so
Sometimes it doesn't
definitely
feel like it.
true. But as far as Blitz goes, both of those stats are not shabby to have elevated a little bit.
Yeah, so another thing, our racers did find warp stones already, so I'm curious if either racer is going to go to Go-Go's check at Zone Eater relatively quickly here, even if they don't find dried meat, because you're not going to get an encounter that matters for that check. And if you're lucky enough, or if you're not incredibly unlucky, Zone Eater is a fast check when you have warp stones. I have my own preferences to not do Zone Eater. I've made that pretty clear, but I wonder if either of our racers are going to take that path forward.
You know, I always kind of like getting Go-Go out of the way, just because I hate it whenever something is locked behind Go-Go and I push it back and push it back, because it's something that you can do right from the start. Nothing is gating you from it. There's, like you said, there's no boss. The only thing that's annoying about that is the bridge trolls, and for me, the ceiling, because I tend to get squashed a lot.
Yeah, and it looks like both of our racers doing the same thing with Salfigro, looting and checking the shops in World of Balance first, just to see if there's something nice there. Rasta then going into World of Ruin to check the shops again, this time for half price, because we have that Edgar sitting there in the front of our party. And looked like just wanted a little bit more loot, and reason why going to Salfigro or World of Balance first, maybe also just, again, checking the shops, but always good to get half price, whatever is in there. Sleeping bags are my preferred thing to find in a half price shop.
Yeah, sleeping bags. I like finding things like revivifies and remedies. Especially the remedies, because they're normally a little bit more expensive than the other consumables that take away status effects, and you get them all in one. So that's nice. And that's a snow muffler, so that's a piece of defense that's half off that we could look for.
Yeah, and we do at least have... I didn't see exactly who could wear it. We know Gao can, because Gao can wear that in vanilla. So we got at least one person. Whether or not we had more, not sure. But something to keep in mind, sometimes you can run some of these seeds and just not find really any defense. So knowing where snow mufflers are can sometimes come into handy if you get a decently early unlock, or you're using something like an Atma build that you really want to be able to tank some hits. So we'll see where the seed goes.
Well, you know, speaking of that, we also saw True Knight, and pairing that True Knight with that snow muffler is a great tactic, especially if you have a VK user.
Oh, 100%. If you have a VK user, a True Knight jumps up the relic rankings for sure. Gotta keep that VK user as low of HP as possible, and it's difficult when they're continually getting targeted to do so. So, I guess, it looks like, okay, we're still looting here. 7 minutes is perfectly fine. I'm curious if our racers are going to do any more looting after this initial path, or are we just going to go? Of course, we're still looking for dried meat. So, what are your guesses about what shops are going to look for for this dried meat hunt?
Well, I know if it was me, at this point, I would kind of be shying away from any more looting. I like checking the airship in World of Balance, and then for some reason, I always have good luck finding it in Mobliz World of Balance, like vanilla. So those are the two shops that I'll always check if I'm really on a meat hunt.
Yeah, I've been... I feel like I've checked Mobliz, even the Relic shop, not for dried meat, but just randomly a lot more often. They're not too far away from the entrance, so it's an interesting one. We're going to see if Rasta decides to fly more in the World of Ruin or switch over to World of Balance. Looks to be a World of Ruin. Interesting, because you can always get Doom Gaze and, search for the skies here, which feels a little bit bad. If you're committed to doing Veldt your first check, then you're going to go in the World of Balance anyways, more than likely. Even though you can do that in both World of Balance and World of Ruin. I don't know, I never like to give Doomgaze a chance to show up early on.
Yeah, not unless I'm just really overpowered and I know that I can pretty much take anything. Yeah, the Veldt is one of those things that I would much rather do in World of Balance, just because you can go right into Serpent Trench and kind of combo those two together, whereas in World of Ruin, Veldt, you can't do that. And we have Phantom from Zen Thief.
Yeah, so I will correct myself. I clearly would have made the wrong decision. This was before I realized that then Thief was 2,600 GP. So the correct play was indeed to stay in the World of Ruin. We got Lord Genesis going to Zone Eater, waiting for the engulf, and then gets to deal with whatever bridge trolls may give him. May they be kind. Rasa is sort of doing what I feel like I end up doing quite a bit. I will go Zen, and then I will go into Albra, because the item shop is so close, and same with the weapon shop, and then I'll generally go down to Thamasa.
Yeah, Thamas is also really good. I mean, especially if you're still checking chest. Between Albrook and Thamasa, there's what, like 10 extra things to loot there, I think? If you're doing World of Ruin?
So, 1, 2, 3. There are 6 chests in World of Ruin, Albrook. And then there's 5 chests in Thamasa, 6 if you decide to go all the way up to where you spawn after doing Shadow's Veldt check.
I mean,
so, yeah,
I just took a shot. Yeah, I just took a shot in the dark on that number, and I'm pretty impressed that I got that close.
Yep. We did get finally engulfed down the Zone Eater. We're going to see what these bridge trolls...
Oh.
So here's always the good part. The first time you fall down, you're always hopeful that falling down helps you, and there's like an EXP egg and an Illumina down there. That's my fear. Like, that is honestly my fear. If I go to Zone Eater, and I get like the perfect pattern, I'm always just like worrying. It's like, was there an Illumina and or an egg down there?
Well, you know, every chest you don't check has an Illumina and an egg.
That's true. Especially if you have an Illumina user in your party. If you don't, they're all just tonics.
Oh, good dodge of the trolls. Genesis is now heading to a ceiling, which, like I said earlier, I'm terrible at the ceiling. I even got squashed today by it.
Yeah, the important part really is to make sure you're not doing any directional inputs when the ceiling falls down. So just
it's not even
have your
that.
hands off the D-pad.
It's not even that. I try to get to cocky and think I can make it, and I don't make it.
Yeah, you gotta have some clean movement for sure. Especially if you're trying to get both chests in the beginning. Looks like... so we got an Esper here for... or Genesis. A Kieran Esper, we'll see what's on there. Looks like we got some equipping on the Rasta's side. We do have a Force Armor, which is decent defense as well. I don't know if we found dried meat.
I don't think so.
So going to take an encounter here as a grind fight.
Not the best one, but not terrible.
Yeah, so if you're committed to saying, I'm not going to do Veldt check because I don't feel like searching for dried meat anymore, I like this play.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if you don't find it, you have to just say, okay, I have to move on. I'm sure there have been plenty of racers that have had regrets chasing down meat.
Oh, for sure. We did have a health command on that Edgar, so nice to have curing. It's interesting, too, when you're looking at the commands you start with and trying to figure out what should I get in order to start the seed, right? If you have 3 terrible commands, you're going to want to find a rod or something like that that will do damage immediately. Otherwise, your grind fight is going to take approximately forever. With Blitz and Pummel, you can kind of get away with not having to search for something powerful. And then, of course, if you have something like slots, then you really don't need anything other than maybe a couple earrings. But we did get to at least level 5 there on that gal. We have Aura Bolt now, so that's actually a pretty big increase of our offense.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so here's a question. Let's get into your mind a little bit. What is your favorite skill to start off with?
We're not going to include Shock, because
No,
that's
no shock. Ultros League skills.
You know, part of me wants to say Rage, but my luck with Rage is so bad that it's just always more disappointment. I would say Slots.
Okay. Well, we've been told
Slots
that
and
throw is the only acceptable answer.
Yeah, Throw is also really good. You do have to pay a little bit for skins, but you generally have more than enough money for loot. But I find Slots also being pretty good. Prince
Well,
coming
I'm
across with a... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say I'm a huge rage user. I love getting a starting rager.
We got dried meat from a drop on Rasta's side.
Oh,
I don't know if Rasta realized that.
and but would he be happy about that? Because I mean, he hasn't run into any difficult fights, but still, that's just adding to the Veldt random encounters.
Yeah, I mean, like, to your point, we haven't run into anything bad.
Yeah.
The Psychot on Genesis side would be a bit of a problem because that exceeds the number of sprites that can possibly spawn Gal's check. I think it's a maximum of 5, but 6 certainly would not be able to spawn the Veldt check. So it'd be a little bit more of a problem. All of Rasta's encounters so far are valid checks. You really, ultimately, just want to not see Senior Behemoth and White Dragon. Like, those are the two big ones you absolutely don't want to have in the pool before you do Veldt.
For sure. Or, you know, Ogors or Rogs or any of that nasty stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's actually going to be a decent amount of EXP for Genesis on here, just taking a little bit. But again, Pummel will do damage. Rasta, this is a little bit of a race, because you don't get a save point before this boss here. And there are a number of bosses in which even having Aura Bolt as your offense won't really work too well. It is worth noting that we are scaled to level 10 average. So this boss can be anywhere from level 9 to level 12, and that's about where we are in terms of scaling, in terms of our levels. So you're obviously hoping for an easy boss here. And you're really hoping for something that isn't like, you know, Atma. Something that will absorb Holy.
I mean, yeah, you're definitely not wanting to see that, or Doomgaze. We really don't even want to see, like, Ifrit or, like, Flame Eater, just because, while it doesn't absorb the Holy, it's not going to do any damage. But Tunnel Armor, yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah, Tunnel Armor, definitely one of the best case scenario bosses to run into here. It's always also interesting here. I imagine for Rasta's case, is going to go into Ancient Castle proper after this and take that, you know, side trip trying to get to Kolgan. It's, when you're doing it this early, that's fine. I find that there is sort of a point in the seed in which you really don't want to commit to that full-on Ancient Castle dive for a dragon and one check. It's going to be curious, too, if Rasta has some, you know, monsters in a box in mind. Do you think he does at this point?
I mean, he doesn't have anything to use with it. I guess if he's looking for a Gargantos, then maybe, but if he's trying to find the Katana Soul, I don't know if I would do it. I might just cut my losses, because you could always get that offering from a dragon or from Colosseum. I mean, with no Atma or VK in your future, or in your immediate future, I think I would just try to run it and get through it as fast as possible.
Okay. And yeah, so we do see Genesis getting the 6 encounter Psychots, which again, Just too many sprites on the screen isn't going to actually yield the check. So would have been perfectly fine running away from this as well, but is going to go ahead and defeat them. Unfortunately, you do not get EXP on the Veldt as well, so hopefully gets out of here pretty quickly. Looks to be uneventful though.
I'm curious how many magic points we get from it though. I did notice on his Kieran Esper that he does have Quick, which is going to be very expensive to learn, but will be very valuable later on, depending on what offense we get, or just even if with the Blitz user.
Yeah, Quick is one of those spells. You know, there are a certain subset of spells that you see on an Esper, and you're like, well, if I didn't have a reason to take 2 dragons, I now have a reason to take 2 dragons. Or, if I didn't have a reason to take a dragon immediately, now I do. Like that Ice 3, for instance. Right? The faster you get that Ice 3 online, like, Ourobolt's cool and all, but Ice 3 is definitely cooler, and pun absolutely intended there.
I was gonna ask you. I was pretty impressed with that. I like my puns. But yeah, I also saw Merton. So if we get Merton protection online, which I know we have a Rage Ring already, I'm not sure about any shields. I don't think so, but I mean, that's some pretty good magic offense. And oh, look who we have.
I see why this is a vodcast now. There is Umaro, the user, the one true user of that Rage Ring, which is a very underrated relic. But yeah, some people would say this is one character away from the dream start or the dream team. The only issue is Edgar is currently in the party, but you could have just had a Go-Go, Umaro, and Gao start. Truly the start of Legends. But we are one removed from that.
No. I either want Go-Go or I want Yeti. I don't want both. This is a nasty dragon to run into. Definitely not the easiest one at the lower levels like this, just because of its AoE that it can do, and plus we don't have like Bolt or anything like that, so this is definitely going to be on the Blitz users and Yeti getting in some big hits.
Oddly enough, I think we have Bolt 1.
Do we really? Okay.
I think I saw it in the menu against Tunnel Armor, but it's Bolt 1, so you're better off using Ourobolt anyways. This is being helped quite a bit by the fact that Edgar has a Force Armor on and has the Health Command. That is really giving this party the sustain it needs. Genesis also now finally gets the Veldt check. Is going to be a Magicite here. Of course, the Veldt can only be a Magicite or a character. It can't be a dead check. So, looks like we got Tritalk with a Strength +1, an Ultima, and a Fire 2. What are these Espers, and how do I get them into my seed?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, Merton as well. That is a top-tier Esper right there.
And I mean, honestly, you have an EXP egg. Pair that Strength +1 with Edgar. Eventually, Edgar is... you're more than likely going to find something this way. At some point in the game.
That's a second egg.
Well, you know, it's always great to make an omelet playing Worlds Collide, so we need more eggs. Especially good when they're free.
Yeah. In today's economy, absolutely.
Speaking of, you know, we were talking about Rage earlier. This would have been a great encounter if you had a Rage user with that Prussian just sitting there. But yeah, okay, so...
You know, I find... go ahead.
So, Genesis is currently doing Serpent's Trench. Rasta went to Ancient Castle, got the Yeti. What are their next moves?
You know, at this point, I think the Veldt check is done for Ross. I think he's going to follow that Yeti, especially since he's already in World of Balance. You can take the Dragon, you can take Tritalk, and then I would just blind check Yeti. more than likely it's going to be a character. Not 100%, but characters often lead to characters, so that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I sort of agree with that too. Especially in this case, right? Go-Go has 1 check, Gao has 2 checks, Edgar has 3 checks, and we've already done all of Edgar's checks. So the likelihood that Yumaru actually holds another character is actually fairly high. Just because the characters have to be somewhere in your path, and there's only a limited number of spaces that we actually started out with. It was actually one of the lowest checks that we could have gotten. Like I said, the lowest would have been having Yeti instead of Edgar. But yeah, I would definitely encourage going to World of Ruin Narsh, taking the entire Yeti loop there. We've already taken 1 dragon. We have a 2nd EXP egg. We have some really good spells to learn. Go push another dragon.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the smartest play, especially because you can hit this bucket. There's no reason not to. As far as where other characters could be, we haven't seen Kefka at Narsh. There could be a character behind the Serpent Trench here, so it might not be Yeti locked, for all we know.
No, it could be one of those seeds. It's like, well, you thought you were getting somewhere, but no, the answer is Kefka and Narsh. But we'll find out quickly on Serpent's Trench here.
I hate it when the answer is Kefka at Narsh.
I hate it when
I
the
will
game...
fade that check for as long as possible.
I hate it when the game tricks you into thinking it's not Kefka and Narsh. And then you have to do it anyways, whether or not that involves getting your 6th character from Kefka and Narsh, or the characters that you have, and you could have 7 or 8 characters, does not give you enough Espers to finish the seed. And you have to get the character at Kefka and Narsh, which has also happened. That's the real trolley seeds.
Well, hopefully we don't have this tonight. So we had the nice Prussian Harpy encounter, but then I think we saw a level 90 magic in the trench. So, not the best trench.
But we do get a Terra for going through Serpent's Trench. Always a very nice character to find. Again, one of those natural sword users, generally has quite a bit higher magic than Edgar. If you are still looking for loot, has the best place to loot in Imperial base, and overall pretty quick checks as well. If you don't really want to go out of your way, has the peekable and mobliz. Do you think Genesis is going to go to Imperial base immediately here?
I mean, I would. I definitely would. You're not too far from it on the map. Use just to fly south and go ahead and get all that loot. You're looking for big sticks. You're looking for anything. And in the Genesis could also check the Zen Thief if he wanted to. He's in that area. We don't know what it is, what the price is in World of Balance. We know that World of Ruin's super cheap, but I mean, it minimizes your map flying. So why not hit it all while you're in the same area?
Yeah, and I sort of take that same approach of where am I now and where's sort of the closest check that isn't obnoxiously long. And that's sort of what dictates where I end up going. Just once you get to a certain point, it's like, what are the fastest checks I have available and how can I minimize my time in the world map?
Yeah.
So we have Merton and Ultima now online for Rasta with a behemoth suit.
Yeah, but that Storm Dragon was being really rude. That was a very close fight. I know at one point he had 2 people down and just Edgar and a Yeti up, and it was a little, I bet Ross's heart was beating a little fast there.
Again, Force Armor coming in clutch, really. A behemoth suit as well from Gao. Not bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got
so, you were talking about...
We do this all the time.
I know, we have, the perfect timing. Or maybe not the perfect timing, I don't know. gonna let you go.
Oh, we just got number 24. Not too bad. I mean, it's not the Magi Master some of us were hoping, so that the Yeti can really shine here. But we do actually have Murden and Ultima learned on a couple of characters. Not quite enough MP to cast Ultima, but we are very close to that. So that would be very nice sort of insurance against certain bosses.
Absolutely.
So what were you saying?
Well, I was gonna say that we were talking about how Terra's checks are really quick. Sealed Gate is actually very quick if you don't loot all the boxes. If you just do the Imperial base and that one room, you can really fly through this check. And that is an Esper for Ross. And that is a Force Armor. Oh, not what you want to see.
Yeah, just a little unfortunate. I mean, we have two characters that can use the Force Armor, at least. So, there are worse things to get. It could have been a Force Shield, in my opinion. Or it could have been another Dragon Horn.
That's true.
After we looted a Dragon Horn.
Yeah,
we are
I mean,
getting
that's
the-
money, though.
We are getting the Yeti check on Rasta's side. If this shows that it's just an item, do you take it?
Yeah, I mean, you've already walked this far. It counts as a check towards skip. You might as well. Right? I mean, it also with 2 XP eggs and a boss fight, it's only going to help you. And welcome in, Jay Brun, with a raid. Thank you for stopping in. This is a Tonic D vodcast between Rastafari and Lord Genesis.
So we did just get an item from the Yeti check. It was an ice shield, and unfortunately, we cannot equip that ice shield just yet. You do not get the item in your inventory until you actually defeat this fight. Otherwise, the ice shield would be wonderful for this. Just unfortunate that we can't equip it yet. We do have Aura Bolt. That's going to be a great way to get through this fight. We do have Yeti as well, and Body Slams are always great. So that's going to be our way through. But we did also
the only thing
see
we don't
in
want to
the-
see...
We're going to do this all the time.
Mhm.
Just accept it.
Chat, you're just going to have to deal with it.
We did see in World of Balance that the Zen Thief was 65,000.
Oh! Oh, but that's a Setzer. And that's Stooges.
So, the seed is forcing our runners to go through Serpent's Trench. Unless there's a character, Kefka and Narsh, your way through is to go get Terra from Serpent's Trench to get this Setzer. And the Yeti,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
and-
just bait.
Yeti is dead.
Not even an Esper.
So, the one thing we don't want to see for Rasta is doomed to Force Field Pearl.
You always get a little bit of a heart attack when you see P as the first letter on that force field. And you're like, oh, just poison. Okay. I didn't have that anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, who cares about poison? Yeah, so if you were Ross, are you checking Kefka at Narsh or are you going to Gauss checks?
I'm checking Kefka and Arsh.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I've given up on Veldt at this point. I'm checking Kefka and Arsh because I can peek it. If it's not a character I'm resetting, I'm going to do Serpent's Trench. And I'm going to assume that my dried meat is in Nikea because it always is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you land right where the meat is. Of course.
And we already have encounters in the pool, so I'm not really too concerned about adding even more. I don't know if Genesis has Ice 3 on one of their characters. If they do, using Ice 3 on the top stooge is absolutely in order here. I just don't know. This is one of those things, right? If you're taking a dragon at some point in this route, you have those spells. And that makes up a lot of time.
I don't think he has it because I believe it was on that Phantom Esper that is Zen Thief.
Ooh, okay. That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we still had some
Genesis...
nice spells, but
yeah, but he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I think he mainly had like Merton and fire.
yeah, it's one of those things. Again, relying on Blitz can get you into these situations, and you're certainly hoping to take out Curly first here. Otherwise, Life 2 is in order. We do see Rasta. We kind of forgot Rasta didn't check Zone Eater, mainly because I personally just ignore this check exists, like I said earlier. But is just going to find an Esper down here, which is great. It's one more Esper for the pile. But not what Rasta's looking for. It'll be interesting to see where he goes next.
Yeah, I don't know. I know if I was Ross, I'd be banging my head on my desk at this point. Once I see that this is not a character, because now I'm really limited with where I can go. Now that's great because I'm really limited to where I can go, but that means that my opponent has probably found it before me.
Yeah, especially with Ancient Castle being sort of I would say, an unusual play early on, but is putting that Rage Ring on the Yeti as proper protocol dictates. A Rage Ring really is kind of, it's an underutilized relic. It's great for fights like the Stooges, right? You get immunity from lightning, and you get absorption of fire. Pair that with a Snow Muffler, and it's, the best relic Yeti can have.
For sure. And Ross took his party down to 3 people, so we are seeing an actual Veldt check.
Yeah, which I assume this is Ross realizing, yeah, there was a dried meat drop all the way at the beginning of the seed. And gets it immediately as well. So, just a little bit difference of luck. And I say a little bit, but it's actually massive in terms of the difference in luck. Genesis only had one other encounter in the pool, the 6-time Psychots that can't give Veldt's check. Rasta, had a number of encounters in his pool, got immediately a Lobo, and immediately hit the 5 and 8 in order to get the Veldt check. And just from that check alone...
That's incredible.
Probably like 5-6 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that is incredible luck. Alright, so Ross is going to get his Terra at the end of this. Meanwhile, Genesis, it looks like is going to be doing his Setzer checks now, which, makes sense. I really like Setzer checks. Setzer and Cyan are my favorite characters for checks.
Yeah, that is not my favorite character for checks.
No.
I will say...
If we didn't need 6 characters, you could have just left him.
So I will... there's the dried meat, too.
Oh!
I will say that Strago gets sort of a bad rep with checks. I think there is 100% merit in Fanatics Tower. It is... we have a guaranteed high tier item up in Fanatics. It's immediately peekable, so if you're getting a character or an Esper immediately. And if you want, you can take a dragon. You have the caveat where, of course, you can't use the fight command unless you have Berserk. But at the same time, how many seeds have you played where you have been 1 Esper away, and you've taken 10-15 minutes trying to find 1 Esper, and you're going down a rabbit hole that is like 4 characters deep, or you've run into 5 dead checks somehow, and you're like, how are there this many dead checks in the game still? And then the answer could have been, I go up Fanatics Tower, I spend 3 minutes doing that check, I come back down, and I'm in go mode. Right?
Listen, you are not supposed to depress me on comms. Why are you doing this?
Because it's one of those things
unfair.
that I feel like it gets brought up enough. Like, Fanatics gets a bad rap, and sort of mid-game it is pretty bad check, but if you're looking for one exact thing, and you have magic, it's really not a bad play. It's a bad play once you go up there and you realize what the boss is, and you're just kind of sitting there, you're like, huh, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's absolutely the worst. Or you get gold dragoned, and you only have bolt spells. You know, that's just not right.
yeah. But I would encourage, especially newer racers, newer people in the game to check like, don't be afraid of Fanatics. It is, like I said, immediately peekable, and you're guaranteed at least one high tier item in addition to that.
Especially if you find rods. If you can find cheap rods, like say in South Figure World of Ruin with Edgar, go for it. You can take out that dragon, you can take out the boss, more than likely. Yeah, I mean, you're right. We do give Strago checks a lot of crap. But that one, Fanatics Tower, we will allow.
If you are the luckiest person in the world, you can go to Ebbett's Rock and get through that pretty quickly. If you are the average person, then you go into that cave and you wonder why are you doing this as you go through room number 40-something. But that is speaking from personal experience there. Ebbett's Rock, as much as I feel like I do that check pretty often, it burns a lot. It burns me a lot.
It does. Okay, at least you're not saying anything good about Burning House. At least we can forget that exists. And, yeah, we can just go. Oh, I did not see what was sleeping in the tomb, did you?
I think it was Alexander. Which means that either Kefka or Nush or another... well, no, we have Strago. I'm curious. I don't think this quite means we have to do another character, get like a 7th character here, but it's getting pretty close.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see, because it looks like Ross may be going up to Kefka at Narsh. He's in World of Balance, Narsh.
Yeah, it's going to get that Setzer.
Yeah, but yeah, that's right, because he just got his Terra. I wonder if he will go up and peek Kefka at Narsh, though.
Yeah, that is always an interesting decision to make. Once you do the well check, it's not too much further to get to Kefka at Narsh. It feels a little bit bad with Setzer, because you have all quick checks there. And you're going back to a Sphere 0 check if you go to Kefka at Narsh. And so, yeah, it's a tough call to want to go to Kefka and Narsh at this point versus doing something that is going to be quite a bit faster.
Yeah, you know what? I can imagine with Ross seeing that Setzer, he's probably going to bail. And he's just going to go do the Setzer checks.
Yeah, but I also assume Ross is basically saying, based on what the seed has given me, Character 6 is almost certain, or actually no, this will be Character 6, so Character 7 is almost guaranteed to be through Setzer in some way, and that's true. We know that Strago is currently sitting in Colgan. Probably not the Character 7 that Ross is looking for, but it's the Character 7 Ross is going to get if that's their decision to leave and not go check Kefka and Narsh.
That's true. Now the Stooges fight is going a lot easier for Ross. He's got that magic power built up. So we're going to get through that a lot faster. In the meantime, Atma over here in the sky needs to go back to his toilet.
Yeah, a bit surprised. There is that Terra has. Was it Terra with tools? No, I think it was Striga with Setzer with tools. Never mind. I was gonna say something about an air anchor, but I realize I don't think you actually have access to air anchor. Yeah, okay, it was Setzer. Setzer with natural magic as well. I didn't catch that on, on a Genesis side.
Ooh. So I wonder what Setzer's got on him. And we get a 5th Esper for Genesis.
Seraphim. So the other advantage with Ross having 2 eggs versus Genesis 1, these extra party members that we're getting, especially because that Terra was late, started off, at decently high levels because we have the extra EXP from the eggs. And there's a pretty big advantage if you have a natural magic user in Setzer, and he's joining your party at level 39. That's really tempting. Or maybe even 29, not 39, excuse me.
Either way, that's pretty high levels for your natural magic user. It's definitely going to have something in his arsenal, I'm sure. God, that Phantom Esper is just amazing.
Yeah, you just look at it and you're like... I can imagine what would be going through my mind once I see a 2000 GP Zen Thief, knowing that we had Edgar in a starting party, and knowing that World of Runes style figure was always on the table with a starting Edgar, I'm just hoping my opponent did not find that immediately. Unfortunately for Genesis, Rasta did find that immediately, and has a pretty big advantage in terms of spells learned, and just overall, the fights have gone quite a bit quicker, just based on the routing here.
That's true. On the flip side of that, though, you had that long Ancient Castle play, and then the Dead Yeti check. So, just between the time of the checks that Ross did, I think that kind of evens out, because by now, especially after this dragon on Genesis side, he's going to be pretty even on the magic power.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that as you're racing in the moment, I feel like there's a lot of us, and myself certainly included, that have this idea that whoever I'm facing is playing the seed in sort of a more perfect way, right? Than is remotely reasonable. And it can be hard to sort of take yourself out of that and say, no, my opponent is not perfectly reading the seed and doing everything perfectly. Maybe it happens once in a blue moon. It's generally how you get sub-hour times in Ultros League. But the vast majority of time, my opponent is also doing suboptimal routing based on what the seed is giving. And so, it can be difficult to not get caught up on that, especially when you see what's available early on. And just realizing...
no, I'm pretty convinced that Mega Elixir players aren't human and can read a seed perfectly. Just saying.
I cannot confirm that. Maybe, our restreamer and tracker Drinks Glue can confirm and or deny that. Whether or not they can perfectly read a seed. I mean, I've seen Falcon Hit and Golden Shocker play some of these seeds, and yeah, it's, or Gar. It can be very impressive and kind of be like, are they playing the same game that I am?
Yeah, I've felt that quite a few times. A cat. Cat Hood and Mobiliz. Yeah, that's gonna live there.
Yeah, it's living there. We do get through that first dragon on Genesis side, getting a Thunder Shield. That is a piece of Murden protection. We are still quite a bit away from actually having Murden protection. Oh yeah, how could I forget Schwantz as well? Schwantz is also a robot.
Yeah, for sure. He's also a very entertaining robot. If you've ever listened to Swant talk, he's very funny.
I mean, they have to be entertaining, right? I mean, they should be. We do get
That's
the
true.
Fanatics Tower play immediately from Genesis as well. And Esper here, that's, yeah, at 6 and 9, that's a tough call. If you're sitting at 6 and 8 and you still haven't found a character, I'm immediately climbing Fanatics.
Yeah.
The hope here is that you find a 7th character that has faster Esper checks. You're hoping for, you know, your Cyan, your Sabin, your Celes, those type of characters, so that you can get faster Esper checks than Fanatics. But if you're sitting at 6-8 and you still don't find your character, yeah, you're climbing Fanatics.
Yeah, and you're gonna love doing it because you know that you're getting that progression at the end. You're gonna be thankful for that Fanatics Tower. I'm not mad at the Zozo play. I feel like Zozo gets overlooked a lot. It's kind of like Mount Colts. It's really not that long as far as checks go, but the walking part of it just makes it not fun to do.
Yeah, it's going a little bit higher than necessary here in Zozo. It's also one of my... I will say I do this check more often than others. Also, I totally missed that there was a Magic Power +2 Esper from, I believe that was what was gotten from Appa. You definitely want to throw that on somebody. Preferably your Gao, actually. Gao's going to have Bum Rush. Throw it on for a couple levels. Bum Rush is a magic base attack. That's assuming you want to do it. I would assume that Rasta is thinking about Bum Rush for Gao. That also gives access to Bum Rush for Go-Go, which makes him infinitely more useful in Kefka's Tower. What is not in Kefka's Tower is this statue here, Goddess. I don't think we have a Rage Ring user, unfortunately. But it looks like we now have plenty of magic to be able to deal with this.
Yeah, seeing this out of the tower and being able to take it with a full party makes it a lot less intimidating than having two people try to juggle weight tricking and love token and try to get through it.
Yeah, the Goddess can ruin some days in Kefka's Tower. There are a number of bosses we still haven't seen that can be very painful to run into at Kefka's Tower. It's always good to get those out of the way, Goddess being one of them. You're sort of hoping to find Guardian not in the tower. You are really hoping that you don't find Guardian in the tower, because that is probably my least favorite fight to find. What about you? Is there another boss that you want to see out here, based on what we've seen so far?
Well, there's two. Always Magimaster, but also Inferno. Inferno really likes to mess me up in the tower. I would say that and Air Force. I guess there's three. Sorry, you only asked for one, but I gave you three.
I mean, extra credit, right? Yeah, this is where Rasta is going to be a bit better set up for something like Kefka's Tower, because multiple people know Ultima. Right, and Ultima is slow, it's expensive, but there really isn't a much better get-out-of-jail-free card than a blue bubble.
Yeah, I've always said everything's weak to Ultima.
Drinksglue would hate to see Lavos in the Guardian spot. This is where I get to mention that we do significantly more damage in Worlds Collide than we do in, say, Jets of Time or Chrono Trigger. So I would be perfectly fine to see Lavos in Worlds Collide. And that's just me.
Glue, if you see Lavos in the Guardian spot, I have questions.
Yeah, it's called, there's a different randomizer for this game in which you can absolutely see Lavos in the Guardian spot.
I have questions.
Yeah, many people do who play Beyond Chaos.
Yeah, that's actually one that I have not played before.
It's entertaining. It is. We're not here to really talk about Beyond Chaos, but it is a different way to, let's say, play through vanilla. Uh, it can definitely provide you with some entertainment and some real nice headaches. We do get through the Guardian fight, or sorry, the Goddess fight at Zozo, and we are getting more Coliseum peeking from Rasta here. Unfortunately,
no.
Osteosaur.
He was really trying for that gold hairpin just to make those big blue bubbles half off.
Yeah, not a bad play.
These are not good Coliseum fights.
And this is, yeah, that's the Zozo that I'm used to. I just took this long fight. Here is a force shield for your tribbles. Thanks, game. How do I return this? And get my time back. As much as I love Zozo, that seems to happen more often than not. Of course, this is recency bias in a nutshell. But we did learn Murden. Or at least one character did learn Murden for Genesis. We did get levels for Bum Rush, as Schwantz is saying in chat. But yeah, now it's like, where do you want to go? Do you start doing Strago checks? You're going to check Mobliz, and you're going to see it's a cat hood.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're on that side of the map. You might as well do Ebbets Rock at least. After that, Lord Genesis has not went up to do Tritalk, which I think was an Esper.
I think so.
And he has not done.
Tentacle Spot is also an Esper.
Thank you. I was trying to think. Engine Room. My mind just totally went blank. Yeah. So there's 2 Espers out there for him, and then knowing that Fanatics is an Esper.
So yeah, so Genesis is doing Ebbets Rock. Make sure you have 22 coral before you talk to the chest. But this is sort of what I'm talking about on Rasta's side, right? You're sitting at 7 and 8. Yes, Zozo could have an Esper. Unfortunately for Rasta, this is not going to have an Esper. But there are 2 other peekable checks in which you know you're going to get an Esper at the end of it. That being the auction house, as much as I hate it, if you have the money to get to 90,000, that's always an option. Or again, is this going to be much faster than going to Fanatics Tower and knowing you're getting an Esper out of it? Especially when you have Ultima.
Yeah, and a Yeti. In this case, you definitely go. You peek that Fanatics Tower, hands down.
And I don't know what Rasta is looking in terms of checks, but if you're sitting at anywhere from, if you're sitting at 15, it gets a bit tricky. If you're sitting anywhere at 16 or above.
A few moments later.
Well, hey, welcome back, folks.
Luckily for us, this is a podcast, so we didn't miss any of the action. Maybe I don't even think we missed any coral, Dwyer.
Oh, that's even better.
Now, if you were to ask me how many coral Genesis has, I do not know the answer to that question. I assume it is less than 22. The advantage of Ebbets Rock, as of some version, I can't remember which. Once you get 22 coral, if you've lost count, if you get like one of the no chest rooms like 5 times in a row, you can probably assume you reached 22 coral. It's not 100, it's not foolproof, but it is an emergency. I cannot remember how much coral I have. Sort of button.
Oh man, it's one of those things I have to count out loud doing it, or I will totally lose track.
100%. We are gonna see what the heat on spot is, though. I would prefer hide on over this. Unfortunately,
yeah.
We do have Ice 3, which does, in terms of magic, work sort of the best here. You can think about, and Genesis sort of is definitely thinking about it, at some point, it's going to be faster to press the blue button and just deal with the disappearing minions than it is to try to whittle it down. Meanwhile, Rasta getting through that goddess much more smoothly with that extra power. And that goddess did not last long on Rasta's side. And it's
No, but
interesting,
he's still-
too. Gao had capture. So both our racers could have tried to capture a Minerva off of Goddess.
You know, I don't even know if I would have been thinking about that at that time. Like, I would just be trying to get through that fight as fast as possible. But again, that's the big brain moves that I'm still learning.
Yeah, it's not terribly necessary with the number of force armors we have. But you could always think about, just try and capture once, and then just blue bubbling it around, and say, if I don't get a Minerva after the first one, then it's dead for me forever. Of course, Yeti can ruin that by getting a love token proc. The auction house is dead. Long live the auction house. Get out of Jador.
No long live the auction house. The auction house can go far, far away. And, oh, we're getting a shadow from the hide-on check.
Yeah, and Rasta is going to follow and do the hide-on check as well. Nice Atma weapon right there. We're going to see if Rasta is going to loot that very same Atma weapon on his way out. It's difficult. You're pretty late to the seed, so you're not really thinking about checking these barrels. But if Rasta does, is going to be rewarded quite heavily, honestly. We have an EXP egg on. The Atma weapon is much appreciated. At this point, also, if you're watching this, right, and you're just like, what is the best case scenario for Rasta? Is getting the Shadow and then really hoping that Shadow's free check at Gao's Manners and Esper. This is what I mean by these checks can cascade. You're looking for a single Esper, and because of the way the game is designed, you're only running into things that aren't Espers. You're just getting into more characters, and we'll see if this is a character. It might be an Esper. It's not an Esper, it's an offering. Goes well with that Atma weapon. But this is the point where it gets painful if you're racing it and you're just looking for a single one.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the nice thing about Shadow, of all characters defined, at least, like, Veldt Cave is peekable, so you can run through it, you can see what it is, and you can get out if it is a character sprite. However, at this point, I mean, you have to do Fanatics. I have a feeling that at least one of our runners is going to have to do Fanatics.
Yeah, there's always the idea of, like, some cost fallacy as well. Yeah, it's something to be concerned about. It's like, do you continue on this path or do you bail out? Some cost fallacy, if you follow the logic there and you're like, I've already put in so much time, I'm going to continue on that. It just generally doesn't work out versus doing, completely pivoting. So it's interesting, right? You can peek this, and I suspect Rasta will do that after getting the offering from Shadow's check. And I hope for his sake that it is an Esper. I hope for both of our racers' sake it is an Esper. But we're going to find out. Luckily, again, this is one of the few checks in the game that you are immediately able to tell whether or not it's an Esper, because it actually shows you the Esper sprites. So, unlike some of the ambiguous checks like Kefka and Arsh and so on.
Mm-hmm. Which we still haven't seen what's up that. We know we're not going to see Elite River play. More than likely, we're not going to see a Floating Continent play. Oh, and that's a realm.
Characters lead to more characters. Good news, though. If Rasta decides to take that entire trip, that realm represents 9 characters. That is another way for Skip. And as I sort of alluded to, you're so late in the siege, you're not thinking about looting, is not going to get that Atma weapon. We do see this Guardian outside of the tower. Luckily for our racers, is not going to have to contend with that for a 2-character party. If you want to talk about bosses in Kefka Tower that can just kill you just because, well, we listed them earlier. Air Force Guardian can both do that really easily. And the vanilla statues as well, especially Pulte.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully though, okay, we haven't seen Doomgaze. Have we? Yeah, we haven't seen Doomgaze. Haven't seen Magimaster. No, we have seen Magimaster, haven't? Oh, I'm
No.
getting so confused.
We've seen
Okay.
number 24.
That's right. That's right. So I did my Ultros League seed right before this, so I'm getting a little bit of possible seed bleed. Either that or I'm thinking of number 24. I don't know.
Now, of course, if you are a member of the Final Fantasy VI community, you pet the dog.
Always.
There it is. Of course.
Yep.
Genesis has done the one thing that is contractually required. Rasta is saving, just in case this isn't what he wants. I'm curious to see if he does take the realm, which does give you a fast check with Esper mounted on the table. Again, to your point earlier, characters will lead to more characters in general, just the way it populates. And we've seen that in action here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, but it's also like you said, I can't see what Ross's checks are. This also gives him skip. So yeah, I guess you take it just to maybe save you 5 minutes later on.
I can't imagine we're that far away from 22.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I would think. Let's see. He's 8. He's at least done. Yeah, they've got to be at like 19 probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's 15 on Rasta's side just on the number of characters in Espers and Dragons.
Yeah, 18 for Ross. So I wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
Alright, we've got tentacles in the Esper Cave. Gonna go down really quick to the Ultima.
Never press that button as quickly in your life as when you see tentacles.
Yep. And that's tentacles down.
So what's and it is an Esper, and it is a Fenrir, so absolutely a great Esper to find. Took a long time to find it. Has Cure 3, has Speed +2. Speed is honestly one of my favorite stat boosts in the game. We're a little bit too late for it to matter. Any stats boosts in general is probably a bit too late at this point. Rasta not petting the dog. Not sure what Interceptor did to him, but hope they work it out.
Well, Ross is probably panicking a little bit, being at 8 and 8, or
8 and 9 now. 9 and 8.
Yeah, 9 and 8 now. Yeah, probably panicking a little bit. Probably not even thinking about the dog.
Yeah, and it is gonna go to Esper Mountain. We'll finally get that that.
Oh no, we're getting a bum rush play.
Yeah,
We're getting a bum rush play on Genesis side. Ooh, that's exciting.
yeah, it's interesting because it's good for Go-Go. I get, in a sense. Gal has Ultima, so whether or not this is really worth the minute plus time is, you can certainly question it. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, so you brought up a good point with Go-Go, but Genesis isn't using Go-Go in his party, and Go-Go isn't leveled as much anymore, so it really doesn't help the Go-Go thing. Yeah, I mean, Bum Rush is flashy and all. I probably would have not done this just because we have power overwhelming when it comes to magic.
Yeah, my point on
especially
the
'cause
Go-Go... Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say that Finner Esper also had Osmos on it, I think. So that's unlimited big blue bubbles.
Yeah. The thing about Gogo was more of like Gogo is probably going to be in a party during Kefka's tower, and so it gives him a useful thing to do. So it's nice on that aspect. It's basically it brings back one character for that client or for that tower, just in case you have a Gogo sitting in against a Doomgaze or a Magimaster without Ultima on that side or something. We are getting a late Ancient Castle play from Genesis. It's going to get one Esper. And then is going... Well, here's the thing. Genesis knows that Fanatics Tower is an Esper. Has peaked that. Do you think Genesis walks out after the Esper at the engine room and just immediately goes Fanatics?
So. Oh, I would hope so, because you at least... That's a known. Whereas Ancient Castle is an unknown. We know it's Yeti, which we know Yeti leads to nothing, except for you do get an Esper at Tritalk spot. Yeah, you definitely walk out and do not do Ancient Castle at this point.
And I agree. So Rasta is in go mode, has skip, about an hour and 8 minutes. Is going to warpstone out of here. Out. And will, shortly be entering Kefka's tower. It's always interesting in these seeds. It feels like a lot of the time, your final time is really dependent on two things, right? It's dependent on how you start your seed. So, without something being trivial, like say you have a Retainer Rage or a Shock Command or something like that, how do you do your initial grind fights can oftentimes make a difference of more than a few minutes. We've actually seen that here tonight. But also, how are you setting up your lanes, right? There can often be quite a bit of luck involved in terms of getting the right characters on the right lanes. Luckily for, honestly, both our racers, we do have a lot of power that I don't think it's really possible to go wrong. This is what Ultima does for you and your party. But it's always curious to see sort of what the time swing can be based on your party composition going into the tower and what you run into.
Yeah, okay, so what do you think about this last-minute dragon play on Ross's side? You've already got Skip, you've already got Ultima and Merton, and you've already got all those things. Are you dipping in to take this dragon?
I am thinking that this is a play for please be an Atma weapon or a VK.
Okay, fair enough.
I think we have an offering. We have a stupidly high level, we have 2 eggs. So we have levels, and we have more levels. But Ross is currently without a stick to
that's
utilize
true.
it.
And, Genesis is going to Ancient Castle.
Now, unfortunately for Ross, this is going to be a Thunder Shield, so not at all what we're looking for. I still don't think that brings Merton on the table. I think we're 1 short. We have an Ice Shield, we have a Rage Ring, we have a Thunder Shield. If we had gotten lucky to steal a Minerva, that would have given us Merton protection, but unfortunately we didn't. So 4 shield can work for sure. It does cut down on the damage of Merton quite a bit. So it might go that strat. But just slightly too short. Yeah, no, I'd be curious. I got to imagine you just take the statues here. You have more than enough power. I don't think taking that gold dragon was really all that worth it. Again, blue bubbles is blue bubble. And yes, I can fully acknowledge that physical attacking is always going to be a lot faster than blue bubble. But you're still playing the odds here. Learning Cure 3, okay. We do have Mantra from Blitz, which is also pretty good healing. But Cure 3 is always appreciated.
For
what
sure.
what I don't particularly like though is only taking 6 characters into Kefka's tower.
Oh, yeah. If you've got 9 characters, that's 3 extra weight triggers. Um,
I
that's
think
3
that
extra people to do something.
yeah, it's not even to do something. It's the fact that ideally you want at least 7, right? You want to be able to shove Moogle charms on characters that are doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, you need 7. Right? You have 2 single lane useful characters, and then you have a lane with 2 useful characters. And then you put what is essentially a weight tracker / stead body in each lane. So, something that makes your life a little bit easier as well. Because running with 6 is just a bit awkward. Because then you're like, okay, I gotta take off a Moogle charm at the end of the day.
I mean, that's if you even think to do it. I mean, I know half the time I absolutely forget that I have a Moogle charm on a, valuable runner, and and just want to get on those switches as fast as possible. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm always of the opinion that I take all my people. I mean, I don't put relics on all of them. I don't put equipment on all of them. But if things go incredibly south on Final Kefka, at least those useless characters can be, meat shields at some point.
We do see Genesis taking a walk towards Tritok. Is going to get an Esper from Tritok. Thankfully, probably will not go down to the Yeti's check and find that, yes, it's just an ice shield. Wonder if the dragon is going to be taken here as well. Does not look like... Probably, I would agree with that play. Just skip the dragon. You don't need it. Unless you're sitting...
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're sitting at 20 checks, then you take the dragon. Because, well...
Yeah, but...
You do it after this check, right?
Yeah, and I think Glue said he was 15 checks at... How long ago was that? Was that
Ebbett's Rock,
Esper Mountain? Oh.
It may have been Esper Mountain. Yeah, we do see Ross getting through that first statue spot. 3 more bosses to go. Overflow not attacking the someone who is going to have Ultima queued and killing your own party. That's always nice. We'll see what Genesis does from here after getting this Night Vesper.
I would imagine you Warpstone, GTFO, and go take on your statues.
May have been a 21 if you're looking to take this. Okay. We got a Yeti, and we got a snail.
Oh, that's always the worst. Yeti never wants to hit the right part.
Well, Yeti's invincible with that Rage Ring.
Yeah, but then you hit the Yeti hits the shell, it's wasting a turn, and then he goes into the Gru hole.
Gru.
And it's sad days for everybody.
So yeah, it looks like we're not going to get skip on Genesis' side. Looks like it's going to be a 1 dive. Trying to think about how this is going, though. I feel like the weakest party happens to be a... Oh, no, did have skip. Okay.
Yeti was 9th character, I think.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, Yeti is 9th, so...
Okay, yeah, the realm is not lit up on that tracker. That's where the confusion was. Okay, then I will disregard everything I was going to say about the lanes.
That's okay. You can still say it if you want.
I'm incorrect enough as often as it is. I don't need to be incorrect even more. We are hoping this isn't Doomgaze. Good news, it's not Doomgaze. Terra gets to still be alive. That was what was... that was sort of the question. Is Terra going to be alive, or are we just going to watch a Yeti try to kill a Doomgaze?
Well, we're gonna see a Yeti kill a Tritalk because Terra only has fire.
This fire might do like 2,000 damage. Oh, 3,600. I think there was a Mag 2 Esper on Terra.
Probably. There we go, Yeti. Throw people around. Chest bumps.
You know, it's interesting when your Fire 1 is doing about as much as Yeti throwing with that Rage Ring.
I mean, you love to see it. Oh, but that's a cold dust on Terra.
We have a fresh Yeti on Genesis side doing 1,600 body slams. No EXP got on this Yeti at all. Already contributing more than a frozen Terra. But we do get free that Tritalk.
Yeti is an amazing character. I don't care what anybody says.
And you're gonna hope that Yeti continues to be an amazing character because, well... yeah...
No!
It's always a little bit painful. I hope you saved right before entering that tower. That is always a dilemma for me of which party do I want to attack first? Right? Do I go the safe way? And, you know, use my most powerful party as my first fight so that way I don't run into, oh, I need to reset and have to do this menuing again? Do I do the more convenient play and just take the left tower first? It's something that I battle with every time I play one of these seeds.
Yeah, I think I do it differently every time I do it.
Yeah.
Well, there's your Haydn.
Yeah.
He was a Haydn in the tower.
I'll
see myself out.
This blue bubble may cause things to see themselves out too. Now we're gonna see,
especially all those little guys.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna probably see a Grand Train come out here. So if we, oh no, just a meteor. I am confused. I would expect it to be a Grand Train. Maybe I guess it's a chance thing. You can't tell me that Meteor is ahead of Grand Train in terms of ability scaling.
Well, one of those guys in chat that understands the spaghetti code of Final Fantasy VI would definitely be able to explain it, I'm sure, because I can't.
Yeah, I mean, there is also the wiki that does have the ability tier list as well. We can consult that just to see how these abilities scale. But I feel like I just feel like Grand Train probably is ahead of or stronger than Meteor, but maybe I'm wrong. But either way, Rasta is through the final statue on their side. Lord Genesis is going through Hydon here. Hopefully we'll not run into any troubles. But all that is standing in Rasta's way from this victory in this vodcast of Week 3 of Ultros League of Tonic D is 4 tiers of Kefka. Well, 3 tiers of Kefka and 1 final Kefka. We have levels. We have Fenrir by the whole, we're going to chase character after character and finally find our last Esper. I don't know if we have Mute.
We do not.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it. We do have a Yeti. So, Yeti, if you're unfamiliar with taking Yeti through the Kefka climb, it can easily work. If you're not used to doing it though, you can definitely make yourself or give yourself a lot of difficulties because it is something you have to manage. You have to manage Yeti's attacks. You have to be weight tricking just in order to make sure that Yeti isn't putting you in certain ranges that you really don't want to be in. The good news is Yeti has so much defense that I would be surprised if he ever takes more than double-digit damage in any physical attack. And with a Rage Ring, we also have immunities to some elements as well. But you do have to manage the Yeti, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3.
Or you could be like me and just YOLO the crap out of this fight and let Yeti do Yeti things. But that's why I'm in Tonic and you're where you are.
Well, you see, the Yeti is now in the back row. Some people would say that's where he belongs. This is where you're hoping the Yeti really channels that Rage Ring and starts throwing things. Less Sky Render hits. Okay, so Wombat, Meteor, Hyperdrive, Ultima are all in the higher tier, and then Meteor is same tier as Grand Terrain and Quasar. Good to know, Schwantz. Thank you for that information. I will instantly forget that. And by instantly, I mean probably about 5 minutes. And then for those of you
do you remember it already? Have you already
I don't need to remember it right now because I can read it. I can also read it at the Wikipedia, or not Wikipedia, the wiki link that Schwantz has posted in chat as well.
And this is why Schwantz is a great guy. We love him. Much appreciated.
I didn't even realize we had a thrower in this party. I didn't realize Realm had throw.
Well, you got Realm so late. I don't even think they looked at her abilities.
Oh yeah.
You get those characters so late, you're never gonna put them in. And
I love it when I find out what character abilities are of a character that I got 20 minutes into the seed, only during the Kefka Tower portion. I'm like, oh, you had throw. Oh, you had blitz. Okay. Cool.
this Adolahan is not being very nice to Genesis. We finally got it down, but it did take out a couple of members of the party. Now, they were the weaker members, but you definitely don't want to have to reset again.
So it also looks like we didn't have instant death here on Rosta's side. Demi is a good spell as well.
Yeah.
For Tier 1 and Tier 2. It will do quad 9s for the first 1 or 2 attacks to it. So don't sleep on Demi. Definitely don't sleep on Quarter either.
Yeah, those are two really good underused spells when you don't have instant death. Because like you said, they're going to hit quad 9s, at least for the first couple of attacks. Still not as good as a good instant death, though.
Oh, yeah. And by good, of course, you mean cleave, and, well, cleave. Because everything else just, everything else just seems to miss when you really don't want it to. But cleave will never let you down.
No, it sure won't.
But we are going into Tier 2. This is where, again, understanding Yumaru and the action economy is really important. Tools is weak to Bolt, so yes, we can use Bolt 2 against it to great effect. Also, Demi would still work. Tiger Face is, as always, weak to Ice. Magic, we're going to have to deal with that as well. And that's where it can get really scary when you don't have a controllable character, like you have a Yumaru here. When magic gets down to about 10,000 HP and you start hitting those quarter counters and those dispel counters, if you're not managing the timing of when Yeti is attacking, you can find yourself in a really bad spot very quickly. You have to be able to burst down magic when he's not muted when you have a Yeti in your party.
Now, that was going to be my question for you, is if this was you in this situation, would you start unleashing everything you can on magic? Which, yeah, I would do too.
I'd take off Tiger Face first, as is sort of standard. And then, I mean, Tools is fine to get rid of, but yeah, you're essentially hyper-focusing on magic. You do not want the Yeti to put you in a situation where you are eating 2 or 3 quarters, and then suddenly you find your party just kind of dead. We do see that Bum Rush being used for great effect over in Genesis side. Unfortunately, eating a cold dust after the first bum rush, so it's going to be frozen. But Atmo Weapon Edgar says, I do not care.
Oh, I wonder why we don't have an offering on that Atmo Weapon Edgar, though. I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit of a different thinker when it comes to ammo weapon offering. It's a great build at very high levels, and we may be at those levels. But to me, being able to control an ammo weapon swing is just as valuable, especially when it comes to really final Kefka is where I'm talking about this. The climb tier, or climbing the tiers. I've had more ammo weapon offerings lose me time based on targeting than it has saved me time. Versus if I had just gone single swing.
That's true. I mean, it's the same concept of it's uncontrollable damage like the Yeti.
Yeah.
It's great damage, but it's uncontrollable. So, I mean, I can totally see that.
Yeah, it's just so much RNG, as Swans is saying. You really need something targetable. Granted, in this case, we also have Ultima, which doesn't need to be targetable, it just does damage. We are getting a Phantom cast here for tier 2, which is fine. That will block the 10 hits. And we do have Genesis going into the Kefka climb as well. Only a few minutes behind, which is interesting of how divergent this route was early. It all very much converged. Just one of those seeds where the Espers were hiding enough that you kind of had to take the same path because we didn't really start with that, a good opening. But we're gonna see if that ammo weapon can make some time up on Genesis side. Again, that 4,500 that you're doing, single target is pretty good. But here we are. It's tier 3. This is part 2 of Do You Know How to Deal with Umaru in Your Climb? We do
starting
have
off with a
Whirlwind.
Whoop, go ahead. Whirlwind. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say we do have the ultimate backstop here of Life 3 if we want to start casting that as well. If you're not too comfortable with taking a Yeti through tier 3, that is definitely not a bad thing to set up.
Oh, Genesis has the air anchor. He's got instant death.
Yeah, that's Setzer. I'm curious what else that Setzer has in terms of spells.
Yeah, but think about it. That's going to make tier 1 and 2 a little bit faster.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah, no, air anchor is the other form of acceptable instant death. You do have to eat a second attack, but it doesn't miss.
Yeah. And he's got, I think Setzer was a natural fire 3 user. Now that's interesting. That gives him all the pieces to the puzzle for tier 1.
I think luckily we're getting a Meteor out on Rasta's side. It's not a train, and most of that missed. We have plenty of magic evade, so pretty nice. Got one calmness. The image did break on Edgar's side, and that does affect final Kefka. You do take the image status through. We do see a Quake come out on the counter here for Genesis side, getting through tier 1. Terra barely surviving with 88 HP. Cutting it real close, but moving on to tier 2. But we got the one, the only Kefka descending from the heavens. Here to laugh in your face. The Yeti will probably not take that sitting down. He'll probably do some shoulder checking on the way.
As one would hope, because you don't really want him swinging that Sky Render during the first, 30k damage.
I
Good
mean,
job,
Terra
Yeti.
was yeah, that's a shoulder check, just not by the Yeti.
I mean,
Yeah, we're just trying to get, 30k damage. We did have to burn the Mega Elixir because of that quad whirlwind. So 30k to get to Fallen, well, 32k roughly. Oh, we do have one more Mega Elixir. If we need it. It looks like we do not need it.
Nope, and now we're in the goner phase. Gonna get that Mega Elixir out, probably because MP's a little low from the Ultima casts.
Yeah, that could be why.
Yeah, this is definitely where you're gonna break those shields and hope that Yeti does Yeti things.
Yep. We got some tier 2 action on Genesis side, using that air anchor on tools. But really, this is all about Kefka here on Rusta's side. Probably just a little bit more damage. This Ultima, I expect, will do it after the 2 shield breaks and a Yeti contribution. And that is GG's for Rusta.
GG's. That was a very, very good Kefka fight, all things considering with what we had.
And it looks like the official time that was posted again. This is a vodcast of week 3. Was 1:33 on the dot. Again, Rostov started this week in 4th place in Tonic D. Genesis started in 2nd place. We get 2 weeks that are dropped. We didn't really explain Ultros League. We kind of expected the people watching here do at least understand what Ultros League is, but it is a league format. There are 8 weeks. You get points based on your placement, and you drop 2 weeks at the end of the 8-week season. But that's going to make up certainly some of the gap between these 2 racers. We do not know what the other times are, or if all the racers have actually completed this week, but definitely lets you catch up on points. So yeah, GG's to Rasta on that wonderful time. Now we get to see if Genesis has a smooth climb. There is no Yeti here. Some people would approve of that. One person would not.
Actually, I think there's been quite a lot of Yeti love in the chat. Except for Schwantz. There was no love for Yeti with Schwantz.
Mm. Yeah, this being
I guess
a
I shouldn't
podcast...
call him out. He did help him.
Yeah. No, he can take it. Schwantz can kick us off this voice call if he really wanted to.
Yeah, but he's a good
Imagine
guy.
that. Yeah, it's we're week 3 of 8 weeks, so it somehow doesn't feel like we're nearly halfway through the season, but these seasons do go quite quickly. I don't know.
So
How do
while
you
we're
feel about
watching,
it?
well, I was actually going to ask you, while we're watching Genesis go through Tier 2, how many Ultros Leagues have you been in now?
This is my 3rd. So I started 2 seasons ago after Warring Triad, so I started playing Worlds Collide during Warring Triad. Well, in the lead up to Warring Triads is when I got into it. And then joined Ultros League afterwards, so that was Ultros League 6. And it seems like Double Down is really trying to enforce the dominance of Tonic B. So when I was in Tonic B, it was myself, it was Bomb Track, it was Master Jed, and it was Meads and Y2 Sky and a couple other players as well. Probably a list of people who weren't really Tonic players, which made that group really fun. And then last season I was in, I believe, Potion C with Nobody War. Saberwolf was there. I'm going to forget who's in Potion C. I just remember the Tonic B seeds. So yeah,
That's
this
okay.
is...
We've had a lot going on since then.
Yeah, so this is the 3rd season of Ultros League I'm doing. But this would be your 2nd, if I'm correct?
It is my 2nd, and let me tell you, it is going a lot better than my 1st.
That is always good to hear.
Yes,
Hopefully it's
I have
because
come
you've
a long
gotten
way.
better.
I have, and I can contribute a lot of that to being a mentor in the Moogle Cup tournament, the tournament that we have for our beginners. I have found that teaching other people and watching them and talking it through with them has actually really helped my own game. So I'm very appreciative that I was able to do that.
Yeah. definitely makes sense. It's a great way to learn is to, teach someone what you know, and I definitely learn a lot by doing so. We do have Fenrir on the Atma offering user on Edgar, which is a bit awkward. Hopefully we have a good way to get through this tier 3. We do have plenty of elixirs, and we did get a quick from that gal. Are we just gonna elixir up Edgar here?
Um,
Are we gonna double bum rush? Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. I think we were just sitting on that elixir for weight tricking and an oh crap button.
Yeah. And successfully pulling off 2 bum rushes. I feel like I can't overstate how sort of nerve-wracking it is to do that input twice when you absolutely need to, and you're staring down death if you miss it.
Yeah.
It is something like, I've watched my fair share of 6 speedruns as well, and I cannot imagine, like, what runners' hands are like when they're inputting the final bum rushes during final Kefka, where if they mess it up once, the run is dead.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I could not handle that much stress.
And I'm just like, I'm in awe of it because, like, even during these World Collide races, I'm always like, I feel like there's a 5% chance or a 10% or 20% chance that I just mess up the bum rush. So great to see these bum rushes coming out. I would encourage people who aren't comfortable using Blitz command to practice particularly bum rush, because it is oftentimes utilized and important that you hit it when you need it. But we are going to see this Kefka go down quite quickly as well. We did not skip the Fallen one. We do have capture on that gal if we wish to use or capture a Mega Elixir. Alternatively, we could just Elixir the Edgar and say, here you go, Edgar. Swing twice, don't get hit, thanks.
Yeah.
Edgar does have that image status, so it does help a little bit.
Yeah, that'll protect him from the Havoc Wings, but the hyperdrives will still go through, correct?
Yes.
Yes. I had to make sure I didn't have that backwards.
Just like that. We did have Life 3 queued up as well.
And we're in Goner phase.
So time to swing that Atma weapon, time to break the shield. You throw an Ultima out there. I don't think this Kefka is living much longer. If you want to be crazy about it, you throw that Magicite. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't. That'll be the time that Crusader comes out, and you will regret all your life choices.
But GG's
That is a
Lord
GG's.
Genesis. But everyone loves a good Crusader coming out of a Magicite.
Okay. Well, next time your life is on the line, I want you to throw one out.
I did. It came out.
Oh.
I died.
What? Was it Crusader?
Yes.
Oh, God.
But yes.
Is that clipped?
Probably not.
Oh, that's
That was a
unfortunate.
while back. Yeah.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. All right, GG's to Rastafari and Lord Genesis. Tonic D runners, giving us a great show tonight. That seed was something. Definitely multiple routes that you could go. Poor Yeti was a dead end, as much as we hated to see it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Beginning was, as you mentioned, there were things you could do in the beginning, but ultimately it did funnel you through Serpent's Trench to find Terra, to find Setzer. So always a bit interesting to play those type of seeds. I think the seed highlighted for, people who are getting into Worlds Collide did showcase sort of the power of, despite not seeing it in this stream, Fanatics Tower is not a bad play. Right.
Yes.
If there's a lesson to learn with watching the seed, I think it's Fanatics Tower. But overall, both our racers did well. That's just really the one thing that stuck out in terms of like where can, as Tonic runners generally newer to the game, as something you can think about is maybe putting some, I wouldn't say niche, but putting some of those sort of hated checks onto when is it appropriate to check them. I think Fanatics would have been a good play. But overall, well done, but from both of our racers, I would say. Especially because there wasn't the physical offense. We had eggs, or at least had one egg. Ross had two. Maybe both our racers had two. But it wasn't the Illumina Fest. It wasn't the Ragnarok VK offering fest that you might get. This was a magic heavy seed. And that was showcased well here.
And it was great to see Bum Rush come out. We kind of talked a little bit about, maybe going to get Bum Rush isn't the best thing. Definitely made the statues faster and the actual Kefka fight faster. So that was great to see. Love always seeing those things that, a lot of time get overlooked or just the seed doesn't allow you to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Did get to see quite a bit different strats on both sides. So, like I said, well done to both our racers. Getting character skip on both of them. It always feels a bit weird to get character skip, but we did see that. But yeah, I mean, gonna be looking forward to seeing more races from this group and watching. I feel like Ultros League is a good platform. You can really see the improvement week to week of the people who play in Ultros League, especially in Tonic and Potion divisions, or really any division except maybe Mega. Mega is kind of like, they're so constrained for time that a lot of it is a little bit of routing, and there's not much in terms of tactical know-how that they don't know. But it's always really nice to see newer players pick up techniques as they go through an Ultros League season. And to your point,
Absolutely.
The Moogle Cup is also a great way to do that as well.
Yes, which actually segues into what I was getting ready to say. If anybody out there, I'm sure everybody out there is actually already a member of Worlds Collide, but if there is somebody that is not, you can always go to our Discord that was just linked in the chat to join. Everybody's always very helpful. We'll help you get started. Any questions you have, people will just kind of fall over themselves to help out. We have our Moogle Cup, we have Ultros League, and then we also have a whole bunch of other off-season events like Chaos tournaments or Living Seed or Seed of the Week. So there's a lot of things to dip your toes into, whatever strikes your fancy.
Absolutely. But yeah, speaking of people who are in Mega Elixir, I believe we were just told we are going to raid one Mega Elixir player, the Schwantz27, doing one of those aforementioned sort of off-season races and then multi-category race. It looks to be a race with one free fits. I do not know which type of seed it is, but it may be quite a bit different than what we just watched here. It could be a Chaos seed. I am not sure. But go ahead and watch that. It's going to be a little bit different. It looks like a Chaos seed based on what I'm seeing on his screen right now. So enjoy that. It is quite a bit different flavor than what we've seen here tonight.
All right, and on that note, you all have a great night, and thanks for joining.